Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It is game number 2 of the Twin Bill. Marion Military Institute in town to take on Calhoun. Warhawks and Tigers ready for battle on this end of the regular season for one team. Well, it's really the end of the regular season for the other, but there is more softball ahead for Calhoun. Season will wrap up for MMI in this one, though, as we come to the conclusion of the 2017 season for the Tigers. Abby Elrod will step into the bat box and take an opening pitch into the strike zone, 0-1. Let's take a look at that lineup. It is Elrod, the shortstop, batting first. You've got the left fielder Casey Cochran in the 2 spot. The catcher Megan Dockery batting third. Center fielder Lexi Green's got the 4-hole. Danielle Phillips is the third baseman batting fifth. The pitcher Veronica Maresca is the 6-hitter. Yasmin Cottingham will play second and bat seventh. Ashlyn Mangum is the first baseman batting eighth. And the right fielder Brindy Allen Ward will bat in the 9-hole. 1 ball, couple of strikes to Abby Elrod. Sydney Ullman tossing the balls and strikes for the Warhawks. Nice diving catch by Alex Rios. What a way to start this one, as Elrod looked like she had a base hit up the middle, but Rios denies her the opportunity to get on with a nice defensive stop. And there is 1 out for Casey Cochran. Well, we put outstanding plays on Twitter and Facebook, and I think that would qualify, as Casey Cochran takes a pitch outside. Taking a look at that defense, Sydney Ullman in the circle pitching. Hannah Jenkins is at first. Alex Rios, who just made the nice catch and dirtied up the jersey and trousers, is playing second at shortstop. Michaela Aday. Third belongs to Dakota McCurley, and behind the plate, Emily Morrison. In the outfield, Mackenzie Smith is in left. Rebecca Thrasher is the center fielder. Sydney Brown is in right. 2 balls, 1 strike on Casey Cochran. Game number 2 of the Twin Bill. The opening game was a victory that belonged to Calhoun by a final of 5-2. Big contributor to those 5 runs was the 2-run home run by Anita Bates in the 6th. The timely 2-run home run. MMI had picked up a couple of runs in the top of the 6th, narrowed the lead to 1. But Bates with that blast over the right center field wall, and it turns into a 3-run victory. Strikeout of Cochran. And there's 2 gone for Megan Dockery. Well, I mentioned the season has neared its end for MMI. It was a season that certainly started with a bang. They had an outstanding start in out-of-conference play, and then the injury bug hits and certainly damaged that record. But you got to say hats off to MMI for a great year based on all they've had to overcome. And then Calhoun, they are the 5 seed no matter what happens today. Hit to McCurley at third. She will go over to first, and Dockery out on the 5-3. 3 up, 3 down. Nobody scores in the top of the first. Game 2 heads to the bottom part of the inning, the home half. Calhoun sending Brown, Gooch, and Morrison to the plate. You are watching the ACCC Sports Network and the ACCC Game of the Week. We head to the bottom of the first, top of the order for Calhoun. It is a windy and sometimes rainy afternoon. As a matter of fact, the opening game got started 15 minutes early. That's because the officials were looking to our left and seeing all the wet stuff moving in. Looked ominous. Really didn't have that much in the way of rain. Did have some wind blow in, and it was not enough precip to postpone play. So game one, despite the early start, came off per the norm. And here we go with game number two. It's got a sunny start, but there is clouds on the horizon. So we will keep an eye on, I think that's the western sky, and see how things fare in game two. Sidney Brown leading things off. Right fielder will start off. Bailey Gooch is the two-hitter. Meanwhile, the catcher, Emily Morrison, batting in the 3 spot. First baseman, Hannah Jenkins, has the 4-hole. Alex Rios, who had that great defensive play in the top part of the inning, batting in the 5 spot, the second baseman. Mackenzie Smith, the left fielder, is in the 6-hole. Hit to center by Brown, and there's one out. Sydney Allman is the pitcher batting 7th. Dakota McCurley will play 3rd and bat 8th. Michaela Aday, the shortstop, is in that 9 spot for Calhoun. All facing Veronica Maresca. Everything exactly the same as it was a game ago for MMI. The way they bat and the positions they play. It is Veronica Maresca in the circle behind the plate. Megan Dockery hit to short. And there Elrod will make the catch for out number 2. Emily Morris into the plate. Meanwhile at first, Ashlyn Mangum, the second baseman, is Yasmin Cottingham. And shortstop, Abby Elrod, the third baseman, Danielle Phillips. In the outfield, Casey Cochran's in left. The center fielder is Lexi Green. Right belongs to Brendy Allen Ward. Two gone, nobody aboard. We're in the bottom of the first. Game 2 of the doubleheader. A 5-2 victory for Calhoun in the first game. Hit to Elrod. She's got it to first. And Morrison out on the 6-3. In the top part of the inning, 3 go up, 3 go down. In the bottom part, same thing. Scoreless as we go to the second. We enter the second. Lexi Green starting things off. Danielle Phillips, Veronica Maresca do up the inning for MMI. Last day of the regular season for these two squads. There is one more ACCC matchup, intra-conference matchup, and that is between Central Alabama and Wallace-Hansville. And the way I'm understanding the rankings, though, you've got Wallace-Hansville tied with Shelton State in number of conference losses, and if they win both games they play against Central Alabama, they would have the same number of conference wins. Apparently Shelton State has got the 1 seed wrapped up, which means Wallace-Hansville has got the 2 spot. But that Central Alabama-Wallace-Hansville matchup could have an impact on 3 and 4. Currently Central Alabama is 3 and Snead State is 4. But if you lose both games to Wallace-Hansville, the possibility Snead State moves up. So they obviously are watching that matchup slated for tomorrow with an eye of interest. Calhoun's got the 5 spot. And in the North Division, Southern Union will wrap up 6. 1 through 6 goes. Everybody else stays home. And, of course, where they are going, as it is one hop to Almond, she will go to first, and Lexi Green out 1. Where they're going is Alabaster Veterans Park next weekend, 28th, 29th, and 30th. ACCC State Tournament. And at stake is an opportunity to play in the desert of Utah. St. George is where the D1 softball championships take place. Danielle Phillips, 1 gone, nobody aboard, top of the 2nd. Found out a play by Danielle Phillips. Because of the weather, we have altered the coverage a little bit. Some of the frills that you might normally get because of the possibility of precip, you might not be getting today. Into foul territory for Phillips, 1 and 2. Veronica Maresca moving to the on-deck circle. But one of the frills that you are getting is those great plays on Twitter and Facebook. When they're made, they're posted. Base hit into left field, Danielle Phillips on for the Tigers. Tigers didn't get a base hit until the 6th inning of the opening game. Got a base hit with their 5th at-bat in Game 2. So the Tigers have a base runner on for Veronica Maresca. Yasmin Cottingham moving to the on-deck circle. Almond's pitch, it too, into left field. Quick throw over, that's going to be in time. Those are one of those rarities. It is a 7-4 putout of Phillips. Looked like a base hit from Maresca, but instead able to get Phillips traveling towards second, so the putout goes 7-4 for out number 2. Maresca, the base runner, at first for Cottingham. She will roll it towards first, charging in Jenkins. Rios covering the bag. The putout 3-4, and no damage done by the single by Danielle Phillips. 1.5 in, we go to the bottom part of the 2nd. Jenkins, Rios, and Smith all coming to the plate for the Warhawks. Home half of the 2nd, Hannah Jenkins starting things off for Calhoun. Alex Rios, Mackenzie Smith due up in the inning 2. Last of the ACCC softball games of the week. Of course, softball tournament from Alabaster coming up. Rain starting to fall again here. Jenkins coming to the plate to lead off a rainy bottom of the 2nd. Rain may be brief. It looks like you had a few showers and umbrellas popped up, and then the shower ended, and umbrellas likely will go down in a moment. Off to first goes Jenkins.
batting second baseman number 18, Alex Rios.
Alex Rios coming to the plate.
She got hit by the pitch. She got hit by the
Got an umbrella that is blocking my view of the plate, so I could not tell for sure what happened to Jenkins. And then I heard the officials say it was hit by a pitch, so Jenkins gets on at first, goes to second on the ground out. That is a sacrifice, by the way.
Now batting left fielder number 22, Mackenzie Smith.
And the sacrifice going 3-4. And here is the at-bat that got Jenkins on. Yep, got it right on the elbow. One out, Jenkins now at second. Mackenzie Smith coming to the plate. Outside with the pitch to Smith. Sidney Ullman moving to the on-deck circle. But I mentioned that the shower that popped up briefly hit towards center field and in to make the catch is green. But I do hear tornado warnings. Or is that a plane? It could be one or the other. We are at an airport, so it could be planes, but I don't see any planes nearby, and that is a tornado alarm, probably just alerting people to the fact that a watch is now in place. If it were a warning, I think the officials would probably be clearing the diamond. Two gone for Sidney Ullman. Hits it towards short, and you got runner's interference. Jenkins running into Elrod, denying Elrod an opportunity to field. And the official immediately calling interference and putting it into the bottom of the second. We've had a little bit of everything today. Why not have some interference? On a day when the tornado watch alarm is sounding, we go to the third when we return. Top of the third, bottom of the order, Ashlyn Mangum leading things off. Randy Allen Ward, and then we go back to the top of the order. Abby Elrod will start things off. Or who started things off will be in the batter's box after the Mangum and Ward at-bats. Looks like Calhoun might produce their first run of the game. Jenkins got on, hit by a pitch. Rio sacrifices are over, but Smith with a fly out, and then Jenkins runs into Elrod while trying to field the Ullman grounder. Turns into a scoreless second. Here we are with the third. On the inside part of the plate to Mangum. Well, it's the third. That's where we typically open up the phones for shout-outs, and let's do it because it might start raining, and we may not have a fourth or fifth. 334-488-1385 as Mangum goes down on the McCurley throw over to first. 334-488-1385. There you see it to the left of your scoreboard. And where shout-outs are concerned, you just text them in. Send a shout-out to your player or team. And then, of course, let us know where you are watching from, whether it's the recliner in Sneed, Alabama, or in the College Mall, or down at the Burger King, you name it, that kind of stuff. And, of course, right next to it is hashtag ACCC Sports. What do you need with that info? You need to plug it into the search engine of Twitter or Facebook. Down the first base line by Brindy Allen Ward. And there, when you do that, you'll see all the big plays that have occurred today and in other ACCC games of the week. And, of course, we want you to like them, share them, and retweet them. Fouled off by Ward. And if you missed the opening game, you need an explanation for why Brindy Allen Ward is batting with one hand. That is because that right hand is in a cast. She plays right field and bats ninth, but she's one of just a handful of players on this MMI squad. Got a player, the rest of them don't. And Ward will go down a strikeout victim as we head back to the top of the order. So Ward playing with that cast on, and we saw her make several catches out in right field in the opening game, and actually got a base hit in the opening game as well. So Ward, despite being bummed up, went 1 for 3 and had a couple of putouts in right. Back to the top of the order we go. Abby Elrod, who lined out to second. That was that sensational Rios crab. And as a matter of fact, that's one of the plays from this twin bill that's already on Twitter. It's on Facebook too, so you can hashtag ACCC Sports in either and check out the big play by Rios earlier in this one. 2 gone, nobody on. Elrod batting. Cochran on deck. The Allman pitch swung on and missed. And quickly go the Tigers in the top of the third. 1, 2, and 3. Bottom of the third coming up. 8, 9, and 1. 2 up. Calhoun's Warhawks in a scoreless ACCC matchup. Bottom of the third, Dakota McCurley starting things off. Michaela Aday, and then the top of the order, Dua. McCurley has been a strength defensively for Calhoun at third. Playing some really nice defense there on the corner. Hitting here in the third, and all of a sudden you got that switch, that shift by the defense. It is driven foul. 0-2 on McCurley. McCurley 1 for 3 in the opening game. Had a single and stole a base in the 6th. Too far inside, 1-2. Scoreless game into the bottom of the third. Calhoun winning the opening game 5-2. Jumped out in front 3-zip with a run in the first and a couple of runs in the second. Then the Tigers got a couple of runs in the top of the 6th. Make it a 3-2 game before Anita Bates' 2-run home run in the 6th turns it into a 5-2 victory. McCurley with a fly out to Mangum at first. 1 out for Michaela Aday. Top of the order awaits on deck. That is Sydney Brown. Strike delivered to Aday. 0-1. ACCC here today. Next Thursday in Mobile, as this one is hit towards right field. And that will get by Ward. Rolls towards the fence. Out to retrieve is the second baseman, Cottingham. And all the way to third goes Ade.
Now batting block number 11, Sidney Bryant.
Well, once it got underneath the mitt, there was not going to be an opportunity for Ward to throw in. So Cottingham has to go out and get it, and here's that little bit of an odd hop right there. It just skips underneath the mitt. Tagged out at home. Brown laying down the bunt. Ade tagged out coming to the house. Maresca immediately charging in, able to get it over to Dockery, lays the tag on Ade.
Now batting number 1, Bailey Gooch.
Brown in first, 2 gone. Bailey Gooch, who popped out to short, batting. Brown able to get to second. Taking a look, let's see. It looks like it was a pitch that apparently was in the dirt. Yep. So the wild pitch has got Brown in scoring position. Gooch backhanded by Mangum and able to get over to first ahead of Gooch to get the out. And despite the triple by Ade, well, there's no damage done in the bottom of the third either. Let's go to the fourth. Still scoreless between the Lady Tigers and the Lady Warhawks. We go to the fourth. Casey Cochran starting things off for the Tigers. Megan Dockery, Lexi Green due up in the inning 2. Scoreless game. Tigers trying to wrap up the season with a victory. Calhoun trying to fine-tune for the state tournament at Alabaster. Don't forget Facebook and Twitter. That's where, first of all, you need to like us or follow us, whichever the case might be. At JockJive on Twitter, JockJive Sports on Facebook. We keep you updated on score schedules and more, but here's the other, maybe not side benefit. This may be primary now. It's all the clips where you can catch the big plays of all the games from all the stuff that we do, but especially in the ACCC. Over to McCurley. I mentioned how strong she's been at third. Cochran out on the 5-3. So Twitter, Facebook, check out the big plays. Like them, retweet them, share them. And here's another defensive play by McCurley at third. One out for Megan Dockery. Outside with a pitch. Allman to Dockery. Dockery wrapping into the 5-3.
Nice pitch.
Major League Baseball. Brewers a 4-1 lead over the Cubs. Top of the 6th. A's 4-zip over the Rangers. That's in the bottom of the 4th. Bottom of the 4th, Mariners with a 4-3 lead over the Marlins. And got a final. The Cards have beaten the Pirates 2-1. Indians and Twins postponed. Pop to Allman. Underhands to first. Dockery is out, number 2.
Now batting center fielder number 15, Lexi Green.
Lexi Green next, wrapped into the 1-3 in the second. Danielle Phillips moves to the on-deck circle. That's the only stuff ongoing. Obviously got more Major League Baseball tonight, plus the NBA tonight. Wizards and Hawks. Wizards lead that series 1-0. Rockets and Thunder. Houston on top 1-zip. And Golden State and the Trailblazers, with the Warriors leading that first round of the Western Conference 1-0. Count evens up, one apiece on Green, wrapped into the 1-3 in the second. Danielle Phillips on deck. Bunted foul, 1-2. One ball, couple of strikes. Two gone. Top of the fourth. Over towards first, scooped up by Jenkins. Green is out. Three gone in the top of the fourth. 3.5 in, we go to the bottom of the fourth. 3, 4, and 5 due up for Calhoun. It's scoreless. Tigers and Warhawks. Bottom of the fourth, Emily Morrison starting things off for Calhoun. Hannah Jenkins, Alex Rios due up in the inning too. Got a little bonus coverage coming up for you this weekend. We will be in Andalusia. LBW taking on Alabama Southern. Doubleheader starts at noon. Local sponsors providing some bonus ACCC coverage on the ACCC Sports Network. Into foul territory, a long way for Ward to run as that shift was on with everybody shifted to the right. And Morrison trying to exploit the shift with lots of green grass over towards right. Count even, one apiece on Morrison, who hit into the 6-3. Popped up towards center field. Green able to make the catch. Look very routine for out number one.
Now batting designated player number 14, Hannah Jenkins.
Hannah Jenkins next. Hit by a pitch in the second. Ran into Elrod going from second to third during the Sydney Ullman at bat. And her runner's interference put an end to the second, batting here in the fourth. Alex Rios moving to the on-deck circle. Getting into that very busy time of the year for us, as it goes 0-2 on Jenkins. I mentioned the bonus coverage coming up on Saturday. LBW and Alabama Southern. Got the ACCC Game of the Week next week. Bishop State and Faulkner State in baseball down in Mobile. Also on Thursday, the GCAA softball tournament gets underway in Milledgeville. Saturday, the ACCC softball tournament underway in Alabaster. And of course, this Saturday, next Saturday as well, as Jenkins is hit by the pitch. Second time she's been popped by Maresca.
Now batting second baseman number 18, Alex Rios.
On Saturdays, though, got Dixie Youth Baseball down in Spring Hill, Florida. Mike Wright out for about a 5 or 6 game slate. Rebecca Thrasher running for Jenkins over at first. Alex Rios with 1 out and 1 aboard here in a scoreless game, bottom of the fourth inning. Mackenzie Smith moving to the on-deck circle. Then you get into May, and you've got I think it's Southern Union and MMI. The game of the week, first part of May. Then a couple of weeks in, you get to the state tournament in Ozark at Eagle Stadium. Runner takes off. That is Thrasher, who will get in with a stolen base. Ball looked like it was to Elrod, but dropped it. And Thrasher now in scoring position. Let's see if there was an opportunity to get Thrasher. Yeah, the throw there just popped out of Elrod's mitt. And Thrasher safely at second. Also coming up in May, the GCAA baseball tournament. We'll be doing the SWAC softball championship. And right now, looking like we're going to be heading to Mississippi for D2 softball nationals and Oklahoma for D2 baseball championships. 2-0 the count on Alex Rios. Rios laying down the sacrifice in the second. By the way, if you're hearing something that makes you think there may be a plane trying to take off nearby, that's because there's a plane trying to take off nearby. Into the stands, Rios fouls it off. We are sitting right adjacent to a runway, and I think we've had one departure both games. Here's the 2-1 offering. Popped up towards Elrod, shallow left. Makes the catch, and Thrasher will hold at second.
Now batting left fielder number 22, Mackenzie Smith.
2 gone for Mackenzie Smith. Smith with a fly out to center field in the second. Sidney Allman moving to the on-deck circle. MMI's fifth has the 5, 6, and 7 hitters due up. On the inside part of the plate to Smith. And of course, when you get to June, you start getting into all the youth sports. Here on JockJive. District tournaments. There is a high fly ball left field. Cochran didn't move much at all. Stayed in her tracks, and Smith sent it right directly to her for out number 3. Thrasher stays on. 4 go up, 3 go down, nobody scores. And we're still scoreless after 4. Going to the 5th, Tigers coming to bat. Into the top of the 5th we go. Scoreless contest. Danielle Phillips, Veronica Maresca, Yasmin Cottingham all coming to the plate for the Tigers. Through 4 innings, 1 base hit, 1 stranded, no errors committed, no runs played for the Tigers. Meanwhile, there has been 1 base hit, 2 left on, and no errors committed by the Warhawks. And nary a run as well. Well, got to recognize the crew, by the way. James Crenshaw is your producer, and running all kinds of chores is Chuck Sebastian, Caleb Coley on camera. Outside with the opening pitch to Phillips. Phillips represents the lone base hit of the game thus far for MMI. She had a single in the second. Batting again here in the 5th. Rios with a backhand, and Rios has got Phillips on the 4-3.
Now batting pitcher number 16, Veronica Maresca.
One out for Veronica Maresca. Get into that rather unusual 7-4 putout in the second that got Phillips off the base pad. Yasmin Cottingham moving to the on-deck circle. Bit of a check swing and able to send it into left field. Ricochets off Smith. Let's see if that'll turn into extra bases for Maresca. It will. Maybe not because of the ricochet off Smith, but the throw in by the center fielder Thrasher. So Maresca in scoring position for Yasmin Cottingham. So Maresca reaches on the single and may reach home on a shot by Cottingham. It is retrieved in right field by Brown, but given the green light and coming home is Maresca. Tigers with their first lead of the game.
Now batting first baseman number 12, Ashley Mangum.
Cottingham with an RBI single. Tigers now with a 1-0 advantage here in the top of the fifth. Ashlyn Mangum, who wrapped into the 5-3, coming to the plate as the Tigers have claimed their first lead of the day. Mangum wrapped into the 5-3 in the third. Low and inside on Mangum. Brindy Allen Ward on deck. Back-to-back singles. The Maresca single into left. Advanced on a throwing error. And then Cottingham with a single that drives in a run. Jenkins retrieves, tags the bag, or touches the bag at first, and then tagging out the runner. At second is shortstop Aday. And the double play puts an end to the top part of the fifth, but not before the Lady Tigers grab a 1-0 lead. We go to the bottom of the fifth. Ullman, McCurley, Aday, all coming to the plate for the Warhawks. Tigers get a run out of the top part of the fifth, taking 1-0 advantage into the bottom part. Ullman leading things off, though, with a single for Calhoun. And there we see how they typically do it, with Ward cast on the throwing hand. So quickly out to retrieve was the second baseman, Cottingham. And Ward will just simply toss it over to Cottingham, who will get it back in quickly. Morgan George now running for Ullman. So George will run for Ullman at first. Tying run aboard here in the bottom of the fifth for Dakota McCurley, who popped out to first in the third. Michaela O'Day moving to the on-deck circle. Fouled back this direction. Well, not a bad crowd on hand, considering the weather has been inclement today. Fans braving the intermittent showers and a rather brisk wind at times. George getting the stolen base, winds up at second. So the tying run now in scoring position with nobody out here in the fifth, and becomes an RBI opportunity for Dakota McCurley. Bunted towards third, coming in. Phillips over to first. Throw is there, but to third goes George. And now that tying run not far from home. Michaela Aday next. Tying run at third here in the bottom of the fifth. Sydney Brown moving to the on-deck circle. Here's Maresca's pitch out of the circle. Got the outside part of the plate. Aday with a triple in the third. Softly hit towards Cottingham. And now for Calhoun, if they're going to score in the fifth, Sydney Brown's got to have something to do with it. She popped out to the center field and ground out to the pitcher. Leadoff hitter looking for a first hit of the game, had a single in the opening game. Here is the 1-0 offering to Brown. Bailey Gooch moving to the on-deck circle. Too far inside, 2-0. Here's your 2-0 offering. It's on the corner. Tigers in the sixth bring their bottom of the order to the plate. Brendy Allen Warren will start things off, then Elrod and Cochran to follow. By the way, quick reminder, games after they are wrapped up. And speaking of wrapped up, that's what we've done to the fifth. Fly out by Brown into left. But when they're wrapped up, well, you can go back to just about the same spot you went to catch the live coverage. Click on the on-demand tab and watch the archive version of the game as well. Let's go to the top of the sixth. Tigers on top by a run. Bottom of the order, top of the sixth. Brendy Allen Ward starting things off for the Tigers. Abby Elrod, Casey Cochran, 2 up in the inning, 2. Don't forget to follow us. Befriend us, Facebook, Twitter. At JockJive on Twitter, JockJive Sports on Facebook. We want to get to 9,000 likes on Facebook one of these days. I think we're at about 87 something. Twitter, let's shoot for $1,000. Need about 500 more to get there. So do it. We'll thank you. And, of course, we'll keep you updated on everything that we are doing, score schedules, and more. As a matter of fact, scores from the opening game already posted. And, of course, you get highlights from that game as well by putting hashtag ACCC Sports in the search engine. Rios will underhand it over to Jenkins for out number 1.
Now batting shortstop number 4 to Abby Elrod.
1 out, Abby Elrod next. She is 0 for 2, is lined out to second and struck out. Casey Cochran will follow. Tigers batting here in the sixth, outside with a pitch. Warhawks trying to sweep the doubleheader, wrap up the season 11-13 overall. game plan is to have some momentum going into the state tournament in Alabaster. Marion Military would like to pick up a victory to wrap up the season, end at 2-21, 12-42 overall. Here's your 1-1 offering. Elrod hit the short, backhanded by a day, and she's got Elrod over at first.
Now batting left fielder number 19, Casey Cochran.
2 gone for Casey Cochran. Well, we've been talking about softball and the standings in the ACCC. What about baseball, which of course extends a week or two beyond softball? Currently, Wallace Hansville, the number 1 team in the North. Interestingly, there are 2 ACCC teams in the top 10 now in the NJCAA baseball polls, but it's not the number 1 team out of the South. It's the number 2 team out of the South that is actually higher ranked than the number 1 out of the North. Chat Valley is ranked 5, and Wallace Hansville is ranked 8 in the nation. But in the South, Faulkner State with a better conference mark. And currently the number 1 team in the South, but it's that overall record at 38-9 that has gotten the pollsters' attention from Chat Valley. And of course, Wallace Hansville sporting a 35-7 overall record. 3-1 on Casey Cochran. In the world of baseball, the top 5 teams go to Ozark and play in the ACCC tournament there at Eagle Stadium. So if that were to be today, your teams out of the North to make it: Wallace State, Hansville, Southern Union, Central Alabama, Snead State, and Shelton State. But again, there's still about 2.5 weeks left in the season. If today were the day that the 5 teams out of the South were to be decided, it would be Faulkner State, Chat Valley, Wallace Dothan, LBW, and Alabama Southern. Payoff pitch to Cochran. Pop back this direction, but it will stay inside the backstop. Reaching up, clutching is Morrison, and the top of the 6th comes to an end scoreless. A 1-0 MMI lead. We go to the 6th. We enter the bottom of the 6th. Anita Bates will bat for Bailey Gooch. I think I know why. Anita Bates, in a 3-2 contest in the opening game, stepped into the batter's box as the 7-hitter in the bottom of the 6th and just launched one over the right center field fence. And that 2-run shot put a little more breathing room between the Warhawks and the Tigers in the opening game. And now here she comes to the plate here in the 6th with an opportunity to try to stick one on the other side of the wall again. But she'll keep it in the park, but we'll get aboard. Bates with a single to begin the 6th. And a base runner on for Emily Morrison. And it looks like Gooch is going to re-enter the game after the Bates single. So Bates has done her job.
Number 1, Bailey Gooch.
Gets a pinch hit single. Gooch will come in and run. And Emily Morrison will be asked to move Gooch along. And let's see if a little small ball is coming. I would say more than likely yes, to try to get Gooch into scoring position. Morrison able to pull back at the last moment. One ball, no strikes on Morrison. Ground out and popped out. Hits to Maresca. Maresca may have had an opportunity at second to get Gooch, but instead goes over to first.
Good job.
Played it safe, but it looked like she had a chance to get Gooch at second. Never gave it a look. And goes over to first to get Morrison. Gooch, though, into scoring position for Hannah Jenkins. Twice hit by a pitch. How about 3 times hit by a pitch?
Now batting second baseman number 18, Alex Rios.
Hannah Jenkins hit by a pitch in the second, hit by a pitch in the fourth, hit by a pitch in the sixth. Maresca has only hit one player, but has hit her 3 times. And it looks like Rios is going to be hit for. So it is Reagan Yarbrough who will bat for Rios. And you may have a similar situation as to when Bates hit for Gooch if Yarbrough gets on. Got a feeling that Rios will be inserted back into the lineup. So Yarbrough batting with a couple of base runners aboard, 1 out. Tying run is at second. Go-ahead run is at first. And Maresca delivering with a strike to Yarbrough. Mackenzie Smith moving to the on-deck circle. Throw goes down to third. Safely in at third is Gooch. Meanwhile, it was the double steal, and Jenkins winds up at second. So now both base runners in scoring position. And an opportunity for Calhoun to grab the lead. Driven foul just by Danielle Phillips. One ball, couple of strikes on Yarbrough.
Come on, Reagan, you got it.
Bottom of the 6th, Tigers lead it. Warhawks trying to claim the lead, and Yarbrough will go down swinging.
Now batting left fielder number 22, Mackenzie Smith.
2 outs for Mackenzie Smith. Big at bat here. And the Maresca strikeout of Yarbrough, huge for the Tigers. Her first K of the game could not have happened at a better time. Towards left. There the catch made by Cochran. And the Warhawks again threaten. But the Warhawks again come up empty. We go to the 7th. Tigers leading it by 1. 1-0 advantage. It belongs to the Tigers. Can they split the twin bill? Can they wrap up the season with a victory? Tigers trying to hold on in the 7th. Megan Dockery, Lexi Green, Danielle Phillips due up in the inning 2. Warhawks trying to get to the bottom of the 7th. That's when the bottom third of the order comes up. Dockery is hit into a 5-3 and a 1-3. She is 0 for 2. ACCC Sports Network and the ACCC Game of the Week. Calhoun and Marion Military. A game originally slated for a 1 o'clock start time on Tuesday. But Mother Nature said, can you push that back a little bit? Got it underway today at 1:45. Started 15 minutes early. That's because at the time, looked like some rough stuff was coming, and they were going to try to get as much softball in as they could before it got here. Despite how bad it looked, really never got that bad. And here we are in the latter stages of game number 2. 1-1 offering. 2-1 now on Megan Dockery. Second game of the doubleheader slated for a 4 o'clock start originally, but again, the game wrapped up quickly. It got started early. So that meant that game 2 got an early start. And this has been a quick one thus far. I don't think we are quite an hour in. Or into the 7th. Here's the 2-2 offering, and it's right back here into this glass that apparently is softball proof. Count even, 2 apiece on Dockery. Opening game, Anita Bates got the win. In this one, your 2 pitchers still contending. Veronica Maresca for MMI and Sydney Ullman for Calhoun. Count even, 2 apiece on Dockery. Here is the payoff pitch. Dockery awaits, and we'll get a second payoff. I understand that MMI has got 16 commits ready to play softball there in Marion, Alabama, a year from now. Low, and Dockery gets on with a walk to begin the 7th. That'll bring Lexi Green to the plate. She is hit into the 1-3 and ground out at first. 0 for 2, Danielle Phillips on deck. No ACCC softball team in the top 20 in those NJCAA polls, but there is one starting to get some attention. And that is Shelton State, which has received votes in the last polls cast. Here's the 0-1. Count evens up, 1 apiece on Green. Pretty impressive team atop the national standings in softball. That is Butler. They are 40-0. Ullman struggling a bit. Walked Dockery. Now has run the count to 2-1 on Green. Two-1 offering. Outside, 3-1. And that'll prompt a visit. Emily Morrison going out to talk with her pitcher. And Blue saying, okay, you've talked long enough. Three and one on Green. Dockery, the base runner, at first. in towards short. Won't get the double play. Rios was traveling across the bag, could not plant to throw, but did get the lead runner on the 6-4 putout. One out for Danielle Phillips. Phillips 1 for 2, a single in the second, hit into a 4-3 in the fifth. Opening pitch out of the strike zone to Phillips. One ball, no strikes, one gone, one aboard. Chop towards short. Nothing at first. I make that at second. The throw will go to first and get Phillips on the 6-3 for out number 2. Green to second. She's there with 2 gone for Veronica Maresca. Maresca should be 2 for 2. She is 1 for 2 because she hit into a 7-4 putout in the second. Otherwise, a single. This one is lifted towards center field. Started to tail back on Rebecca Thrasher. And she is able to put on the brakes, get underneath it for out number 3. 1 runner left on. Nobody scores in the 7th. Is 1 enough. Tigers by a run as we go to the bottom of the 7th. We enter the bottom of the 7th. Sydney Ullman starting things off. Dakota McCurley, Michaela Day due up in the inning 2. A 1-run lead for the Tigers. Will it hold up? Here in the bottom part of the inning, bottom third of the order. That lone run came in the 5th. Veronica Maresca got on with a single. Yasmin Cottingham drove her in with a single. And thus far, that has been it scoring-wise. Sydney Ullman, she is 1 for 2. Ground out to short. It was a shot to short that Jenkins ran into Elrod. Base hit, Ullman able to get on. And the tying run aboard in the bottom of the 7th. So Calhoun doing what they wanted to do, get their lead off aboard for Dakota McCurley. And barring a double play means that you will get back to the top of the order. No indication that McCurley is willing to sacrifice an out to get the runner over. McCurley 0 for 1. Is flown out to first and sacrificed. There's an effort to bunt her way aboard. Now a 2-strike count, though. So let's see if McCurley is bunting with 2 strikes on her. Michaela Day moving to the on-deck circle. Hit towards center field, and that will drop in for a base hit. And the bottom of the order producing for Calhoun.
Shortstop number 15, Michaela Day.
Michaela Day coming to the plate. And that's got Coach coming out to talk with his pitcher, Maresca. Well, the Tigers picking up that run in the 5th. It held up in the 6th. Now trying to get it to hold in the 7th, but back-to-back singles from Ullman and McCurley. Have a couple of base runners on here in the home half of the 7th, and Calhoun not only with the tying run aboard, but has the winning run on. And the bottom of the order coming to the plate, but that bottom of the order has produced the game's biggest hit. That was a triple in the third. So a day will bat with Allman and McCurley on. A day with a triple in the third inning, biggest hit of the game, only extra base hit of the contest. But goes rather small with this one, and the base is loaded. Laid down the bunt to get runners both into scoring position. The throw to third, if the third baseman Phillips is standing on the bag, you've got the out of the lead runner. But she was off the bag, and a day with an infield single that loads things up and gets the winning run now in scoring position as we go back to the top of the order. Brown with a fly out to center field, a ground out to the pitcher, a fly out to left. A deep fly ball here ties the game. A base hit may just win it. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Sydney Brown. Outside to even the count. Bailey Gooch slated to go next. Brown with that fly out to center field happened in the first. The ground out to the pitcher in the third. The fly out to left in the fifth. Two balls, one strike on Brown. And now the count will even up at two. Maresca's got one strikeout in the game. That was of Yarbrough in the sixth. Could use her second K of the contest here. Popped up in the direction of center field. Backing up is Green to the warning track. Tagging is Allman, and she will score from third to tie this one up. Meanwhile, tagging and getting to third is McCurley. And that's got a day to second. So the sacrifice fly to center field ties it up. And the game's winning run now at third as Taylor Bynum comes to the plate.
Now batting for your Lady Warhawks, number 7, Taylor Bynum.
McCurley at third. A day is at second. Allman has scored on the sac fly by Brown. Bynum batting for Gooch. Trying to produce a walk-off something to give Calhoun the sweep of the doubleheader. And now you got the Tigers fighting to get to the eighth. Emily Morrison moving to the on-deck circle. Here is the 0-1 pitch to Bynum. Just a little bit outside, and the count will even. McCurley representing the game-ending run and the winning one for Calhoun. It is lined right at Elrod. Over to third, almost got McCurley off the bag, but Bynum is out number 2.
Now batting your catcher number 3, Emily Morrison.
And now it's up to Emily Morrison. Tigers trying to get to the 8th. Morrison, who is 0 for 2, a ground out, a fly out, and a sacrifice. Pops this one towards right. Ward is there, makes the catch, and we're going to extra innings. Well, Calhoun did what they had to do to tie it up. But the Tigers did what they had to do to send it to the 8th. One apiece here on the ACCC Sports Network. Bottom third of the order in the top of the 8th, Marion Military Institute had a 1-0 advantage going into the bottom of the 7th, but Sydney Brown able to drive in Sydney Allman on a sac fly to center field, ties it up at 1. We go to the 8th. Cottingham, Mangum, Ward all come into the plate for the Tigers. Well, it was a 7th inning that represented maybe victories for both teams. Calhoun tying the game up. And then the Tigers able to send it to the 8th when it looked like it might wrap up in the 7th. Yasmin Cottingham will start things off as an RBI single and a ground out. She is 1 for 2. Well, there's something about us and extra inning stuff this year. Did a couple of 9-inning games when Wallace Hansville played Sneed State earlier in the year. As a matter of fact, that was the first ACCC game of the week. And another irony where that was concerned was it was a day late, too. It was originally slated for Saturday, moved back to a Sunday because of the weather. And here we are again with a game that was originally slated for Tuesday, moved back to a Wednesday. And it's going into extra innings. Cottingham wrapping into the 3-4 in the 2nd. Hit to Jenkins, steps on the bag, and Cottingham is out number 1.
Now batting first base number 12, Ashlyn Mangum.
Ashlyn Mangum next, wrapped into a 5-3 and into a double play. Well, let's see, one of our crew situated out in center field apparently has found a place to sit and watching the game from about 225 feet away. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Mangum. Reaches out, 0-2. Brendy Allen Ward moving to the on-deck circle. Those 2 extra inning games that we did to start the softball games of the week, they went 9. 1 hop to Ullman, and she's got it over to first to get Mangum.
Now batting right fielder number 2, Brandy Allen.
2 outs for Brittany Allen Ward. Abby Elrod moving to the on-deck circle. Calhoun, when you get to the 8th, has the meat of their order due up, the 4, 5, and 6 spots. Ward, I think, laughing at herself. Hey, I'd say hats off to anybody that gives the kind of effort she does every time you come to the plate. Rolls it to Ullman. She'll underhand to first. 3 up, 3 down in the 8th. We played the top part. Got the bottom part coming your way. Calhoun trying to get something that will produce a win in the bottom of the 8th. Back with that after this on the ACCC Sports Network.
Designated player number 14, Hannah Jenkins.
Bottom of the 8th we go. Hannah Jenkins starting things off. Jenkins hasn't gotten a hit, but she's gotten hit 3 times today. Hit in the 2nd, hit in the 4th, hit in the 6th, and now batting in the 8th. Alex Rios, Mackenzie Smith due up in the inning too. 1-0 pitch, finds the zone and evens the count up. It is a 1-1 contest. MMI with their lone run in the 5th. Calhoun's lone run came in the 7th. Three base hits, 2 stranded by the Tigers. 6 hits, 7 left on by the Warhawks. Hit to Elrod, and she's got it over to first. One out for Alex Rios. Rios 0 for 1. Laid down a sacrifice in the 2nd. Flew out to left field in the 4th. Yarbrough pinch hit for Rios in the 6th. Just a little bit high. Ball 1 to Rios. Mackenzie Smith moving to the on-deck circle. Count evens up 1 apiece. If you're the Tigers, you definitely want to get to the 9th, because that means you are back to the top of your order. Elrod, Cochran, and Dockery all due up. Hit to center field. Green with the shades on and down. Reaches up, makes the catch, and there's 2 away.
Now batting left fielder number 22, Mackenzie Smith.
2 outs for Mackenzie Smith. An 0 for 3 day for Mackenzie. Flyouts to center and left. Did have a triple in the opening game. Waited until the latter part of the game to pick up the big hit. Well, we think, in the latter part of this one. She was the middle out in the 2nd, last out in the 4th and 6th. Trying to avoid becoming the last out in the 8th. Count even, 1 apiece. Here's the Maraska pitch, popped up, and that will land over near the first base dugout, turn into a 1-2 count on Smith here in the 8th. After a miserable start to the day, it's looking pretty nice here in game number 2. Sun beginning to shine. 1-2 offering. Smith awaits. Shot up the middle, and she's got a base hit. Two-out single puts Smith on. It brings Ullman to the plate. Well, here's the part of the order that produced in the 7th. Ullman, McCurley, and Aday all had singles in the 7, 8, and 9 spots. And in the opening game, it was the 7 spot that produced. Bates as the 7 hitter. And the 2-run home run. There's another base hit. And this is hit into an area that could be trouble. Rounding third, coming home, Smith. And this one will end a Calhoun victory. It took an Ullman triple, and Calhoun in extra innings wins it 2-1. 3 hits, 2 left on, no errors committed. Tigers with a run. It came in the 5th. Calhoun, a total of 7 base hits. They leave 8 aboard, commit an error, get 1 run in the 7th, and pick up the winning run here in the 8th. Thanks so much for watching the ACCC Sports Network. We are off to Andalusia on Saturday. LBW taking on Alabama Southern. A noontime start. We'll have it for you right here. James Crenshaw has been your producer. Caleb Coley on camera. Rest of the crew, Chuck Sebastian, providing play-by-play. I'm Robert Williamson. So long.